Hi there, this is the first tutorial I've done in a little while. Hopefully going to get back to doing a few more of these. Today I'm going to look at building a custom tab bar. So let's just get started. Let's create a new project. Just make it a single view application and we'll call it custom tab bar. I'm going to do it for iPad. One of the things that prompted me to create my own tab bar was I didn't like the amount of space that the default tab bar took up, particularly on the iPad in landscape mode. And I wanted to try and do something that took up a little bit less space and ran down the side of the screen. So this is where this tutorial has come from. So let's just create this project and we'll put it on the desktop. And this is Segue. Okay. So we're only going to support landscape left and landscape right. So we'll deselect the other two device orientations for the time being. Here are some images that I have created for this tutorial and they are available on my website. I will put the link alongside this tutorial, but you can get them at www.scott-sherwood.com, and this is the custom tab bar tutorial. So I've done retina and non-retina images just so that we get something that looks nice on whichever device you might be using. Let's go straight to our storyboard and let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so first of all, let's lay out our tab bar controller. We're going to put down a background placeholder image that's going to hold our tabs effectively. We're going to pull out one of the images for the buttons and one of our separators for between the buttons. What we'll do, excuse me, we'll look for a rounded button here, and we want to make that the same size as the button images that I have created. So they're 46 by 56. So I'm going to make this 46 by 56. And I'm going to set the image, first of all, custom, to get rid of the white button, and to set the image on this one to cogs. And when it's in its selected state, I'm going to have the image cogs underscore highlighted appear. So that will replace this darker image with the blue image when it's selected so that we can indicate which tab we're currently on. I'll get rid of this image at the moment because we now have this set up in our button. I'll copy and paste this. And we're going to have this one. We're in selected mode. Let's go to default mode first of all. Home. And then in its selected mode we're going to do home underscore highlighted. And the third and final button we're going to do, again in its default mode, we'll do hot. And we'll change this to hot underscore highlighted. So this is set up our buttons. Let's move them into place. Let's put the home button at the top and a cogs button below that and a hot button below that. And we're going to create 3 separators by copying and pasting again, and then just drag these in. It's a little bit dark to see, but hopefully you can still see that these just help delineate the various tabs. We can make our buttons bigger to make sure they cover that tab, but I'm just going to leave them as is at the moment. Let's look for another UI view and we'll drop that on. And this view is going to act as our placeholder view for the content for each tab. So let's just put this into place and make sure. Let's take the background that we've set for the navigation, the tab bar navigation, and we're going to look at where its X position is on its right hand side. It's 88. So to make sure we line up perfectly, we'll set the left hand side of this to 88, and that should be us. We should be perfectly aligned. So let's move this to fill up the remainder of the screen. What we'll do is we'll set a colour on this just for the time being. That will let us see where that is. So now we want to create our actual tabs, our content tabs. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll pull on a UI view controller, excuse me, and we'll come back here and we'll get the exact measurements of our placeholder. Placeholder is 936 by 748. Let's make this view controller match that exactly. So first of all, we have to select the view controller, select size to freeform. This will allow us to change the size of the view. Then if we change the size of the view to match the placeholder that we just created, 936 by 748, we'll see that that gets smaller. Now, one other thing to remember that usually catches me out is to uncheck this resize view from nib. Otherwise, the size of this view will change when it's loaded up. Okay. So what we'll do first of all is we'll change the background of this so we can see when it's been loaded in. Oops, I need to get the view again. We'll make this a hideous magenta colour, but I like my bright colours. We'll come over here and we'll copy this view controller and we'll paste it until we have 3. So now we have 3 view controllers. Let's change the colour of each of them so that we can see which one is being presented when we start to do stuff. This colour, and change this placeholder just to be a boring grey for the time being. There we go. So now we have our 4 views, our tab bar view controller and our tabs. So let's hook them up. Oops, zoom in. I'm going to move this over to this side just for easiness for the moment. It can be a little bit awkward hooking these things up, and I'm going to create a seg from home to the home view controller, and it's going to be custom. I'm going to create a seg from cogs to the magenta view controller, which we want to call cogs, and the heart one, we're going to do another one to the blue one down here. Heart one should probably go to the pink coloured view controller, but I don't think that level of attention to detail is necessary. Yep. So now we've got a tab bar view controller and the necessary transitions to each of the other 3 tab bars. What we have to do now is we have to define what these transitions may be, because at the moment we've just created custom segs, but we have to define what that custom seg is. So let's create a class that's going to be our custom segue. I'll keep calling them seg for short, but really I should be calling them segues. Let's do custom tab bar, and it's excuse me, is detected that we want to create a UI storyboard segue, so it has already filled out the subclass of that type for us, but if not, you just scroll through this list till you find it. Now we're going to add that to our project. Create. To create a custom segue, you have to override the perform method. And what we're going to get is we're going to get a handle to the custom Tabbar view controller. This is going to be the source of the segue. Cast this, and the segue, the custom segue itself has access to the source view controller, so that's how we get hold of that. At the moment, the view controllers that we are moving to are just UI view controllers, but because their view takes up the full content of the view controller, then we shouldn't ever need to rely on any specific type of view controller. As long as we are of the right size, we should be able to load in the view to the Tabbar content pane. So let's, actually I don't think we need to cast that. Let's just take destination view controller. No, we do. Let's fix this. And now we have the source of the segue and the destination of the segue. What we want to do is we want to remove all of the views that are currently placed on top of the placeholder view in the custom Tabbar view controller. We don't want anything to be displayed in that content area except for the view that we are moving to. So now what we want to do is we want to create a and we also want to hold on to the view controller that is currently controlling the view that is placed onto that content placeholder. Just to prevent it being released. Synthesize both of these. Oops, typo. Just double check. Didn't create this as an IB outlet. And let's hook up that placeholder view. So this is our Tabbar, and this grey pane is our placeholder, so let's hook that up. Now if we go back to our custom seg, we can find we've got the source of the segue and the destination of the segue. So first of all, we want to remove all of the subviews of our placeholder view. The only thing that should be shown in that placeholder is the view that we are currently transitioning to. So the view that is associated with the destination view controller, that's the one that we want to load up, and nothing else should be in that placeholder area. So let's just remove them all. So let's say custom, source dot placeholder view. We're going to loop all of the views, and we're going to remove them from the super view. So that means that that will now be empty, and what we'll do is we'll set the current view controller to be destination view controller, and we will add this new view onto that placeholder view controller. Now we need to go into our storyboard, and we need to set each of these to be of that particular type. It's custom Tabbar Segue. Let's just copy that, paste it in here. I will paste it in here. Yeah, let's actually give these names as well. Let's call this home segue cog segue and heart segue. Right, so I think that's what's got everything. We've hooked up the placeholder view. We've created 3 segues for each button. These segues are of our custom Tabbar segue type, and we have given them an identifier. Okay, we've got one warning here. That's because I have forgotten to put in subviews here. So that should look through all these subviews on the placeholder view and remove them, as I said just a second ago. So let's play this and see how we're getting on. So now if we press the home button, we get the yellow pane, cogs, we get the magenta pane, and the heart, we get the blue pane. So this is our tabs now loading in the separate tabs in the view controllers that we've set up. The one final thing we want to do is in custom Tabbar view controller is we want to indicate which tab we're on by highlighting the particular tab, in this case buttons, that we've created. So let's do prepare for segue. So if segue dot identifier is equal to string, we've got home segue. We know that that segue sender for that is a UI button, so we can cast the sender. And we are going to set the button selected to yes, so that it gets highlighted, and that will just show the highlighted image that we set previously in Interface Builder. And what we're going to do is we're going to be able to do the same thing for each of our 3 buttons. We've got our cogs, segue, and our segue. Now the one thing that has happened here is when we select them, yes, they're not, the other 2 will not be deselected. So if we run this, we should see that they all light up eventually. They all become lit up. I must have named this one correctly, but we don't want to have 2 lit up like this. So there's a little trick that I use. Let's next to cog. Transition first of all. What is that called? That's called cog segue, not cogs segue. So let's get rid of this S. And now the little thing that I like to do, just to make things easier, is I know that these three things are buttons, and I could look through all of these various elements and compare on the type, but then there may be an instance where I have another button which isn't a tab on a particular view. So what I like to do is I like to just take a view, oops, I don't want to move that one. Let's move this to the top so that I can get a hold of it. What we'll do is we'll put it directly over tab background. We'll move 3 buttons onto that background and reposition them. Setting the view that I've just added's background colour to clear. That will allow our background image to come through. Reposition these buttons a little bit, so go back to where they were. Now I have a view with all of my tab buttons on it. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create in my tab view controller another outlet, which is UI view, which is going to contain tabs, so just call it tab view. We'll synthesize that. And we'll hook that up. Now, inside prepare for segue, I can quickly do for each UI view v in self.tabbars view.subviews. In fact, we can go straight for UI button because we know that these are all buttons. We will deselect, so we'll set selected to no, and that will make sure that everything's unselected except for the button that we have just tapped. So fingers crossed, that should be us. Let's just run this one last time. And there we have it, our side tab bar. Now you can see that this concept would apply to a tab bar that ran across the bottom, or any type of tabbed controller that you might want to build. But it can also apply to other UI components where you want to switch between various views. In this case it's just replacing the views, but you can add transitions and other animations into your perform and the custom tab bar, in this case the custom segue, and that will allow you to do nicer animations, might be flips or page curls, however you want to transition between your various components. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll try and get back a bit quicker with the next one. Thanks, bye.